Welcome to Tuesday Talks. This is where we have the opportunity to grow into a place where we can fill our souls, not let the little things stop us, and ensure that we grow into solution seekers. A place where there is a culture of progress as opposed to competition and comparison. Because as we all know, a rising tide lifts all ships. And isn't that what we want to do? It's a place where we get to realize that we are better today than we were yesterday. So let's talk about the 3 C's to success. And the first C is, yes, you guessed it, change. It doesn't matter if it's just everyday life or in business. Being able to navigate change positively is imperative to one's success and ultimately one's happiness. So let me share a story about for 10 years I'd been driving to school, and for 10 years I'd been driving to school and swimming prior to school, and I'd been able to drive straight into the car park, right, and then a short walk into the swimming pool. All of a sudden the gates are closed with a sign detour, and I had to drive all the way around. It's a big block, big school, and park in a different spot and had a longer walk to the pool. Well, that was not a happy camper. And it took me several weeks, because that was ages and ages ago. It took me several weeks to get over that. And one day I finally realized, Margarita, nothing's going to change. You are going to have to comply with this new rule. You cannot park where you have parked all of these years. You're just going to have to get over it and drive around the block and park where everybody else is parking. And once I'd made that decision and come to that conclusion, a load was taken off and I felt so much happier. It was incredible. And I realized our attitude can change. Of course, our attitude can change. Our attitude can either empower us or stop us. And for a little while, it was stopping me. It was stopping my happiness for some time, wasn't it? Because it was dampening it down. Let's face it, change can be scary, whether it's staying in a situation that is uncomfortable and yet you know it's not right, whether that's a job or a relationship. But here's the thing, the only constant in life is change. So don't get used to the status quo. How we frame it in our mind is everything. So what if we framed it and made a change as the opportunity to discover a new us? What was in this opportunity for us to discover? Of course it's going to be scary, but let's think about a breakthrough you've had in your life. It's possibly come about due to a change in your diet, change in your exercise or morning routine, maybe even changing your job perhaps, or even changing your car or house, moving suburbs, moving states, moving countries. So the first C to success is change. Learn to embrace it. Learn to love it. Second C is courage. And courage is the precursor to confidence. So Turia Pitt was an Australian ultramarathon runner who, during one race in central Queensland there, was caught in a grass fire, and she sustained burns to 65% of her body. Her life changed overnight, instantly. Her life changed instantly. But it was through that change that she grew her courage. My gosh, one can only imagine the pain that she went through for so long. But she pulled out from deep within inside her the courage to not just to survive, but to thrive. She now is a motivational speaker, and I take my hat off to that woman. She is so courageous to have the courage to stand on stage with a very disfigured face and body. She went through so many operations to overcome those burns. And to stand there so disfigured and share her story is a mammoth example of courage. So courage isn't moving ahead in the absence of fear. Courage is moving ahead, moving forward despite the fear, despite being scared to death. So when starting something new, we need to acknowledge that it's going to be scary. It will be uneasy. It will be uncomfortable. It could be nerve-wracking and even perhaps overwhelming. But we need to move forward, even though we don't have all our I's dotted or our T's crossed. We just have to get in the game, roll up our sleeves, be prepared to get dirty and move forward. And that takes courage, a bucket load of courage. And how do we get courage? You borrow it from the past. There have been times when you have been tremendously courageous and you grasp hold of that feeling, that memory of success. And secondly, you use it as a lever. A lever can help you lift so much more weight than you could by yourself, can't it? So you ask yourself, what will I lose if I don't do X, Y, or Z? And then you physically list them. For example, it might be self-worth, trust in yourself, faith in yourself, belief in yourself, let alone all the material things you stand to gain. Or you might choose to visualize yourself with your maker, explaining why it is you played small and didn't live into your full potential, seizing those opportunities that were given to you. Whatever works for you, leverage it to propel you forward. And the last is confidence. And that you don't get until you are in the game, taking risks, having the courage to get in there and do so. So how do you go about this courage-getting exercise? You take small steps of bravery, of decision-making, and you keep a tab of those successes. And this tells your subconscious just how successful you are. So when you're not feeling particularly confident, you have a stack of results to demonstrate to your subconscious and to yourself that you are that confident, courageous, and competent person. I also listen to uplifting podcasts primarily around mindset. I surround myself with uplifting and encouraging friends. And I congratulate myself for succeeding at any small task rather than belittling myself for not getting it right. Celebrating my successes, no matter how small they are and in what area of my life they occur, is so important. So have a go and see what works for you. And while you're there, look at what takes away from your confidence. For me, it was watching and listening to the news, having negative people in my life. So I've discarded both of those. And I know so many people now who just choose not to watch the news for the same reason. So let's choose daily to build confidence through aligned action, fuel it with courage, and embrace change as our invitation to grow. Because you were never meant to shrink to fit. You're here to rise, to shine, and to thrive. So until next Tuesday, God bless, keep thriving and shining your light throughout the week.